My name is Mackenzie, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my presentation. So let's get started.
Parts of a flower are so constructed that very, very often the wind will cause pollination. If not, then a bee or any other nectar-gathering creature can create the same situation. Yes, anything that gets the pollen to the pistils right on the list. I'll try to make it crystal clear. A flower's insatiable passion turns its life into a circus of debauchery.
That's right. Today we're going to be talking about the infamous plant topic, pollination. In 1998, four men, Mark, Dennis, Felipe, and Alan, whose last names I'm not even going to try to butcher, conducted a study on why the beetle Cyclophila colossi pollinates the philodendron solimosense plant and the process along with it. This is a world-renowned study for its finding and the details within its study itself. The study was conducted in French Guiana, which despite its name is located in South America. It is a relatively small place. To put its size into perspective, it is about half the size of Wisconsin. This is a coastal region and tends to have a dry and humid climate year-round. You can find a lot of tropical forests here. French Guiana has a relatively low landscape, which allows plants to thrive. The main plant of focus is Philodendron solimosense. There is no common name for this, so people simply refer to it as philodendron. Philodendron is considered a hemiepiphyte, where the seeds can create a canopy formation. These plants are commonly found in sandy soils and where it is flooded frequently, such as tropical forests. The first image shown is going to be the leaves year-round. They are going to be large pinnate leaves and are usually very dark in color. Once July hits, the flowers begin to sprout and appear in a green oval, like in the second picture. Once the flower is in full bloom, the spathe opens to allow for pollination, and this is what you see in the last image. The inside of the spathe is white and contains pollen, whereas the outside is green. Once opened, the plant usually averages 3 days of being open and bloomed to allow for pollination to occur. The main pollinator insect on this study was the Cyclophila colossi, or the scarab beetles. A variety of other insects were showed interest in the plant and entered the flower during pollination periods, such as the small weevil, the southern masked chafer, and the stingless bees. None of these guys left with a significant amount of pollen or visited frequently enough to assume that they were a main contributor to pollination. These beetles didn't have anything particularly special about them or the way that they reproduce. Scarab beetles tend to release a strong odor to attract a mate and offer a food reward for their attendance. We also see that the beetles thermoregulate and can increase the heat of the flower as well. This is very helpful due to the fact that these beetles mainly reproduce and pollinate during the evening. Flower heat plays a crucial role in pollination. When a flower heats up during the pollination period, the warmth is seen as a reward by insects, especially beetles, and allows the insects to sense when a flower is ready to say so. Flower heat is a huge part of this experiment, and the heat could cause odor emitted from the beetles to evaporate, creating less of a stench. Another reason that floral heat is important in this experiment is because the scarab beetles prefer to pollinate at night, so the relationship between floral and beetle heat may differ in this scenario. So these images each show how the heat impacts the flower and the beetle itself. The beetle can get up to about 32-35 degrees Celsius, and the leaves of this particular plant and flowers can get up to 50 degrees Celsius compared to the surrounding 20 degrees. So there's quite a significant floral heat happening in this scenario. The authors hypothesized that attraction and choice test experiments showed that scarab beetles are not likely to depend on chemical information such as pheromone or odor release, to locate specifics, but rely on stimuli produced by the inflorescence in order to meet a mating partner. This generally means that the beetles rely on floral heat to attract a mate to the flower, to reproduce, and then to proceed to carry the pollen away to pollinate another plant. 4 experiments were made to watch certain aspects of the beetles' interactions with the plants. One group was studying the time of day in which the beetles peak in interacting with the plant. Another one is if heat is preferred or not, floral heat that is. Another would be gender, if gender makes a difference in pollinating process, and if the odor the beetles release can increase or decrease the effects of pollination. 4 groups were set up and observed. Each group contained 20 male beetles and 20 female beetles. By a simple observation, the author saw that the beetles were more attracted to the philodendron, the plant, during evening hours when it cooled versus the warm time of day. By arriving at later hours, this seemed to be easier for the beetle to sense and might make it easier to find a mate. Since the beetles also produce heat in their mating behavior, the plant may not have to be as warm for it to matter. The gender experiment, in my opinion, was the most interesting. The authors decided to put boxes over the plants, one box containing no beetles and another containing a pair of 5 beetles. Over an increment of time, a single beetle would be released. This was repeated 6 times. By doing so, the author could then identify if mating and being paired up with another beetle helped the pollination process. The last experiment focused on the odor or the pheromone, the chemical composition that beetles may release during pollination and mating. 20 males and 20 females were placed in separated organdy bags. By doing this, the chemical composition of the released odor would stay. Once evening hit, the beetles began to arrive, and this would allow them to survey if more went to the male or female bag, and to whether the odor mattered in any way, shape, or form. The results from this study proved to be a success in such a way that it proved the hypothesis. Based off of the 4 groups and the experiments belonging to each group, we can infer that chemical composition things like odor and pheromone were not a major influence of the pollination of the philodendron. Basically, in the 4th experiment with the scent, the beetles chose to go to the one that smelled less and didn't seem to have an opinion. Flower heat was the biggest indicator, which the authors described in their hypothesis. The scarab beetles were attracted to the plant when the temperature was at its highest in the evening. The beetles were not focused on having a male or being paired up and would assume a mate would be waiting for them inside of the warm space. Overall, this study was very effective and has shown the importance of studying different kinds of aspects of pollination and what you might not think of in the very beginning. Thank you.